Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by Time to Pet and the Peaceful Pet Music, Call Music for Pets YouTube channel. What unique challenges is your business faced with? Your business is shaped and molded based off of your personal preferences, your abilities, your knowledge, and how you want to do things. It's also shaped based off of where our business is located. For Natalie Spedden, owner of Aggieland Pet Sitting, that challenge is how to staff and run a business in a college town, a place where the entire economy is based off of the fact that there's a huge university in the area. Today, Natalie walks us through how sometimes we have to face the fact that we're looking at something through rose-colored glasses and the changes that need to be made, the challenges that she faces in a college town, and how she is growing and building a dynamic and professional team. Let's get started.
Thank you, Colin. So my name's Natalie, and I'm the owner of Aggieland Pet Sitting here in Bryan College Station. I've had a passion for animals since I could remember, as a lot of people would say in our profession. My great-grandmother owned a dog grooming salon, so I would spend a lot of time up there as a kid. And out of my sister and I was definitely the one that was more interested in all things animals and pets, and it's kind of where my love for animals first started. We weren't able to have dogs or cats really growing up, just with my parents working all the time and us being in school, but I had a parakeet for most of my childhood, and that was kind of my first experience taking care of a pet. And then from then on out, I was kind of just one of those little kids that always just wanted to be a vet and help and save animals in some way. And so, I founded Aggieland Pet Sitting in 2021. Although I had been a hobby sitter since 2016 or so. So our company focuses on providing pet sitting and dog walking services to Bryan and College Station, Texas. They are neighboring towns, but everyone just sort of lumps them together as one kind of mega city, if you will. We have about a 20-mile radius all around for our service area. And I will say that most of our visits are vacation visits with our clients. However, we're kind of starting to try and expand into focusing on more daily and weekly dog walking services. I had been working in vet clinics in high school and then throughout college. So I wasn't doing much pet sitting until I moved to College Station in 2016 to go to school. So I pretty much continued working in vet clinics all through college, and I was a vet tech. I worked in, boarding areas, the actual hospital side. And then also I was a client services representative for a vet clinic. So I've kind of had my hands in all of that because, as I mentioned, that was originally what I wanted to do, was to be a veterinarian. So I was like, well, I need to, kind of dabble in everything and see, kind of how that would be one day for me. So basically I started getting clients through Rover, and then also clients that were going to the vet clinics that I worked at. So they would, our vets would refer, oh, Natalie does some pet sitting, if you, want her to come by and check on your pets, she would love to do that. She, has some experience doing that. So then from there on, I just had a lot of clients through word of mouth contact me. And so, that's kind of how I first got started pet sitting on the side. And then, so vet school at Texas A&M here is very competitive. And so I had a great experience through my high school's FFA chapter and then working in vet clinics. And then, of course, pet sitting on the side. However, the one thing I really struggled with was having the GPA that vet schools wanted to see from, people applying to their 4-year program. Yeah. So when I graduated in 2020, I thought about getting my master's to kind of help raise my GPA and then apply for vet school, because I just knew if I had applied right out of college, it would be really tough. A lot of people don't get in on their first time. So then I got declined from master's program. So I was like, dang, like, what do I do now? Like, I was feeling discouraged. I also didn't know if, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I was kind of going back and forth on that once I had some time to reflect on not being admitted to my master's and all of that. Um, in 2021, early 2021, I was working for my friend's moped rental business here in College Station, just part-time, like kind of throughout the pandemic. And so I basically just made the decision to try to go full time with pet sitting. I know it was something I loved and really enjoyed doing, and I just kind of wanted to see what happened.
Hmm. There's a lot in there, Natalie, of basically really trying to find that path forward. And to know that you started off with this one direction, but were really able to pivot and go somewhere else. I was never interested in vet school. I know my mom was, and the canonical story is she had signed up for classes and she was trying to get into vet school, and she knew that was her path that she wanted to go. And the first day of classes at college, on her trajectory to go to vet school, she couldn't find the class to go to, like science or whatever, and she was like, "Well, that's my sign. That's just what I want to do." Yep. So you kind of take those signs. So but really now that was a dream that you had. So what was it like coming to terms with the fact that, well, that dream's not for me right now, but I have this other dream of now doing this business?
Yeah, so I think for me what it really was is just the realization of what veterinarians really do have to face on a day-to-day basis, and the things that they struggle with that are untalked about, just things that people don't really mention whenever you're growing up and you're going down that path to go to vet school. And because to everyone else it's like, and even to you, it's like, well, you're going to be saving animals, like that's what you're going to be doing. And so, as I worked in vet clinics, I realized, the hardships that also come along with it. You have to sadly let some pets go and make the decisions, to tell pet parents, what's best for their pets. And they don't always like to hear that. And when I was a client services representative, I really, unfortunately had to be the person sometimes to tell them, and also, be that last point of contact when they leave, after a pet, has been, put down. And so, not only that, but it's just extremely long hours. It's a lot of school. It's 4 years. It's a lot of student debt. And it's something that I personally feel that somebody needs to really truly want with everything in their heart to do. And that needs to be their calling. And for me, I had definitely kind of had rose colored glasses on about it. And then once I realized, it wasn't for me specifically, I just knew that I had to do something else. Although I wanted to be with animals, I just wasn't sure which direction I wanted to go.
That's really important to know. When am I looking at something with rose-colored glasses versus when am I really excited about something? Because those are two different things, right? I'm sure you wake up really excited about your business and really excited about the clients that you're serving, but you're not looking at them through everything's fine, it's perfect, it's perfect today. There are no issues. What issues are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, everybody needs veterinarians. I mean, they do such a great thing for the community and for pets. And
Yeah.
I mean, I just have so much respect for them. And I just think, yeah, they're amazing. And so, for me, it was something that, like, I thought I had wanted. And once I was actually in there and, really got a feel for everything and how it works. And I loved a lot of the pets and got really attached to them, and, loved that aspect, loved working, in the clinic setting, because I really do thrive under pressure and like that constant kind of, it's just always so busy and there's always a lot of teamwork involved. And like, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And so it was for me, it was just taking, being kind of rejected a couple times to really kind of think about what I wanted to do in life and, for a career.
Yeah, and recognizing it's one of those moments of, no, I didn't fail at that. I realized it wasn't for me. And I think that kind of framing really helps us as we go through life, because we can look at things that maybe we wanted or thought we wanted, even in running our own businesses of, oh, I think I want to expand to 40 miles, or I think I want to reach, 100 different employees or whatever, and realize, oh, okay, that doesn't fill me, right? That's not what I actually want. Now that I've learned more and I've become more familiar, a lot of times it really is becoming more familiar with who we are at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to really realize that it's okay to say that this career path's not for me. And it could have been a dream of theirs, like it was for me as a kid and kind of growing up through high school, college, doing the trajectory it takes to go that way, and then kind of just realizing, that you just have to be honest with yourself. And it's scary and it's nerve-wracking to kind of pivot like that in such a dramatic way, but I mean, it's definitely been like the best decision I've ever made. So,
Sure. Did you ever struggle with the comparison game of oh, I could have, like, coulda, shoulda, woulda, or I'm just to this, or anything like that?
well, I do know that if I was to go through with going to vet school and being a veterinarian, that there would have been a lot of things that I loved about it and really would have enjoyed and would have brought like me purpose. And um, so on one hand, yes, I can definitely say that I've thought about that, but at the same time, like I just know that the path I've chosen has been just as, if not more, fulfilling for me, and I'm just very happy with the decisions I've made.
Yeah, absolutely. Of realizing that there's just as much fulfillment, if not more so, once you're finally doing what you want to be doing. I think that's what's really critical there, is to realize, no, this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it because I need to be here and I want to be here doing this.
Yeah, there was such a need for it in this community as well. I mean, there's only one other, well, actually, we have Fetch Pet Care, which is a franchise
Yeah.
pet sitting business. And then we also have my friend Savannah runs her own pet sitting business as well.
Hmm.
So at the time, it was only her, though, when I got started. And so the
Wow.
need was there, and I knew it was. And so I pretty much just took my opportunity to kind of, start learning what it takes to become a professional.
And you were describing your service area earlier, and I it was spoken like a local who gets maybe frustrated with how people just think it's all one thing. And honestly, before I moved to Texas, I thought Bryan College Station was just a really long, awkward name for something. So it
Yeah.
was I too was one of those one of those people. So Natalie, what's you, other than the confusion about the two, or maybe that's part of it? Kind of what's unique about where you're servicing?
Yeah, so I would say my service area is unique because College Station and Bryan are primarily college towns. So College Station is home of Texas A&M University, which is where I went to college. And just that school alone has over 75,000 students. And then Bryan has Blinn Community College, which is a very popular college for those kind of looking to transfer into A&M. So they will move up to Bryan and then go to Blinn and then transfer into Texas A&M. And so with that, I would say there's a good mix of both college students and families that live here. Most of our client base is actually established families that have made their residence here, whether I do have some that work for the university, but I also have some that don't, some business owners, some that work from home and just moved back here after graduating, things like that. They're like alumni. So it's definitely unique because of the college really being the central focus point of the town. And I mean, when they have football games here, they like shut down the roads like around the college. It's no joke. Like they mean business around here when it comes to A&M.
It's a different feeling, isn't it, as a college, to have the industry driven by the economy driven by something that is so seasonal. I mean, Megan and I went to Texas Tech University, so hopefully there's no hard feelings there. But
Oh yeah.
we
Well,
that was a very much college town vibe as well, of when when the students were in town, the town was thriving and humming and buzzing. And then when there was nobody there, it was a ghost town of,
oh
where
yeah.
is everybody? Why do we have so many stoplights? Do we need these lanes? Like, it felt like the town was empty too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it definitely rings true here as well when it comes to that. I will say that the reason that we are so busy in the summer when, most pet sitting businesses are is because so much of our clientele are families that are, traveling for the summer. But yeah, during the semester, I mean, it's, spring and fall, it's just completely packed here. And there's just so many different age groups and points of life for people like professionals, people in school, retired people. Like it's such a huge kind of like melting pot here in that way, which is why I love it.
Yeah, but it can make, I don't know, does that make your marketing or your messaging more confusing about how do you target? Because, we like to think, our services are for a lot of different people. Well, you have, like, the world has been brought to you as far as cultural diversity, demographic diversity, you said life stage diversity. Like, there's so much in that town. How do you manage that marketing and finding the right clientele for you?
Yeah, so it can definitely be challenging because we are on the higher end price point for pet sitting and dog walking services here. We definitely advertise as more of a top notch kind of the more like just higher quality service. We're also award winning. We have won Best Pet Sitting Service in our local magazine 2022 and 2023, as
Woo.
well as that was amazing. Only being in business for 2 years, and being rewarded with that was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it can definitely be challenging because we really want to market to um, primarily families of, that higher kind of income bracket, but also just those that, because we do have hospitals here, we have doctors and nurses as clients, that will utilize our services. But I will say we do have occasionally college students as clients, like PhD students, master's students, professional school students as well. So when it comes to marketing, it's really just trying to set ourselves apart. There are a lot of hobby sitters here with it being a college town.
Okay.
Lots of people on Rover, advertising services, just Facebook groups. Next door, we have a lot of people in college just trying to also compete with us as hobby sitters.
From your experience in the town, what's the mix of pet care there? Are people mostly doing boarding and daycares, or are they looking for the kind of services that you're offering?
So there are multiple boarding options here in town. Not only do we have, I would say, 7 or 8 really great boarding facilities, a lot of the vet clinics here also do offer boarding as well, maybe not in the same capacity as a dedicated boarding facility. But we do have a lot of veterinarians that graduated from A&M's vet school that started a vet clinic here. And so that along with boarding is definitely oversaturated. However, at the same time, we do still get a lot of new clients that call us that say that they cannot there's no capacity at the boarding clinics at the boarding facilities at the vet clinics. And so they're calling us also. But I will say that since I've started my business here, along with networking with my friend Savannah, we have really tried to get out there in the community and kind of in that outreach and let people know who we are and what we do. And because there's just so many people that have no idea that we exist and that there are professional pet sitting businesses that come to your house. And so, it's really, it's a good balance. But yes, definitely lots of different pet care services available here.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Dan from NYC Pooch has this to say.
Time to Pet has been a total game changer for us. It's helped us streamline many aspects of our operation, from scheduling and communication to billing and customer management. We actually tested other pet sitting softwares in the past, but these other solutions were clunky and riddled with problems. Everything in Time to Pet has been so well thought out. It's intuitive, feature-rich, and it's always improving.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show can save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/ Confessional.
How do you feel? And I mean, is that the type of client that calls you and says the boarding facility is full, right? Is that somebody that you are willing to take on, or do you say, no, that's not my kind of client?
Well, so for the most part, if we are kind of a last resort for people, then no, we don't typically like to take on those types of clients. I will say that does not happen very often. Usually, if it does, it's close to a holiday or spring break or the weekend. And so we kind of, when they call, I can kind of gauge that right away. Or their babysitter fell through or their neighbor can't come anymore. So we get all of that. I will say that, we do have we struggle with college students that request our services only on holidays that they are going back home, such as spring break, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And so we typically like to focus on clients that will use our services more throughout the year. And with that being said, we also face the challenge where clients will request visits only when they come in town for the football games. So we have a lot of clients that are people that call us and they may own a townhome or an apartment here that they only come in town for the game. And so they'll reach out like, hey, can you just drop in on my dog for those times? And it's just definitely not the kind of client that we would say we tailor to.
Yeah, man. As you're talking, Natalie, I'm getting all these flashbacks to our time when we were pet sitting in Texas Tech and in Lubbock of just exactly this variation, this fluctuation, these huge pulses and then nothing, and then pulses and then nothing, because it's driven by the ebb and flow of the college and trying to find that through line of how do I get stability and make those decisions? Because one type of thought is, well, I'll just ride the wave up because I know there'll be a crash on the way down. So I'll take all these one-off clients and a one-off, versus how do I build these longer lasting relationships with people? Right? How do I stay connected with people locally so that I have more of a baseline that I can build from?
Definitely. And I would say that we have really formed some amazing relationships with our clients that live here in town and use us regularly, throughout the year. So we have really cultivated those relationships with those clients and the people that really see our value and have wanted a professional pet sitting service from the beginning. So with that being said, we face those challenges of the people wanting the more one-off walks and visits because of the football games here and because of so many college students living here. And so, yeah, I would say most of our clients are families and established professionals that live here in the town and have planted their roots here and have kids and they go to school here. And that has been our best way of receiving clients for sure.
Yeah, and making that judgment call of going, okay, is this person calling me for this last minute one-off? Am I ever likely to convert that person over to a more full-time relationship with them or a more consistent basis? But right, if they're coming out of town and they only come out of town, they come in from out of town for the several football games or whatever sporting event they're coming to, or homecoming, it's like, there's nothing I can do to convert that person to have me walk their dog 5 days a week when they live in the Carolinas or something.
Exactly.
So maybe I won't take that on. But this person who called me who can't go to the kennel because their dog has kennel cough or because they're full. Well, there is a chance that I might be able to convert that person over to my services. So if I can, maybe that's somebody that I can take on.
Yes, and we definitely have been able to do that. And I mean, we use Time to Pet, and so we have on our website a link that says book now with us. And so that will take you to our Time to Pet create an account page. And so they answer a few questions up front from us that really helps us to see what they're looking for. And if they are looking to form a relationship with us going forward. And so that definitely has been very helpful. And I think that the more that we have been getting out there in the community and people have learned about us, the more that they have realized our value, and they actually will opt to go with us over any sort of boarding facilities.
Do you ever have that reaction when you're out in the community at an event and somebody looks at you and then they look at you and they go, wait, what do you do? I had no idea this was a thing, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes. We have an event here every October. It's called Wienerspiel, and it's like wiener dog races. So it's dachshund races and corgi races every year. And so there's booths and just lots of people around to watch the races, and it's such a great time. And so I every year I usually do that event. And yes, we'll get tons of people that walk by and they're just like, wow, like we had no idea that this was even a thing. Like we've hired a college student once, but maybe we had a bad experience, or they moved out of town, moved back home, got a job and moved away. And we just need someone more reliable and established that can, serve us throughout the year. And so we get a lot of clients that way for sure.
Well, so what do you you say you go to that event, how do you approach that? How do you prepare for it, or things that you bring to that event ready to share?
I like to have a lot of, little baggies of like dog treats, of course, on the table. I have a big banner that says who we are and what we do. And then we also do a raffle for like a gift bag for a dog and then a gift bag for a cat. And then, we have a bunch of brochures that we hand out to people when we talk to them about our services. So we have done a couple of those events. I will say that the best way that we have obtained clients has been through Google, and then also our local Facebook groups. So we do get a lot of people looking for pet sitters in our local community Facebook groups. And so I will kind of have a spiel that I copy and paste and I put in the comments with a picture of our banner. And I just say, this is who we are. This is what we do. And so definitely online has been the best way for us to gain new clients. And then we do still get some word of mouth from our clients as well. But the events are definitely just fun to kind of get out there and be a part of our community whenever we can. And so Wienerspiel is a great opportunity to do that every year.
Okay, so you said that's in October, because I think I need to make some flight plans to go see this.
Yes,
that sounds amazing.
It's such a great time, and everyone looks forward to it. It's a big fundraiser for a nonprofit animal shelter.
So okay, well, so you're supporting a lot of different things there then by your presence of supporting the shelter and growing and being connected to that community. And I think that that's really where those events shine is not so much, oh, how many conversions did I get or how many new clients I get from this event, but just how much awareness, how connected am I? What kind of conversations did I have? What kind of education was I able to give to people as they came to my booth, and really kind of changing the metrics on that? Because I know for us, the first couple events that we went to, like I was really like, oh, we're going to get so many clients from this. We're going to get so many calls, and then like literal crickets from that. And I threw up your hands. You're like, no, events are terrible. Why waste your time? but realizing it's about so much more than that, right? At the end of the day, having that connection, that face-to-face, that presence, that physical presence, which is so hard for us in the service industry because we don't have a physical store people can go to. They can't come and talk with us. So we can now bring ourselves to the wider community.
Right. Absolutely. And I completely agree. I mean, we have so many clients that have learned about us, like I was saying, just from our other clients, and then they had a maybe not so great experience with either a boarding place or with a hobby sitter or rover, and so they hear about us, and then they kind of do some more research. And I mean, our website has everything about us, all of our services, our pricing, what we bring value wise, and I just think that once people really do give us a shot and realize, that this is our livelihood, take this very seriously, that they never go back to a different service.
Yeah, I absolutely loved your website, by the way. It's very, very, very well done. And I think did you use marketing on that?
I did. Yes. Yeah. Erica is great with marketing. I recommend them for anyone looking for a pet business specific website.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. No, I was, I was on it looking at it and I was like, oh, this is really good. I really like this
Yeah.
website.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
great
so
job.
much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now, I can imagine too, because you've been working on growing a team, right, in hiring and stuff. How has that been going for you?
Yeah, so I started out solo for the first year of my business, so all of 2021. And then in about March of 2022, I realized that I really needed help when I was beginning to say no to my clients and turning them away whenever there was just too much that I could handle. Because I mean, early on, I really determined what my capacity was. And so I really tried hard not to get burnt out because that has definitely happened to me. And so I just knew like this was something that I really needed to look into if I was wanting to grow. And so that's when I started looking into hiring. Um, I started through Facebook groups and posting in those groups that I had mentioned earlier about my business and that I was hiring. But unfortunately, I found that I wasn't getting the best types of applicants that I was looking for that way. So then I started using Indeed, which has been really successful for me so far. That, along with also reaching out to our local animal shelters, and we also have a wildlife center on A&M's campus. Reaching out to those volunteers, I have gained an employee that way as well. So that would definitely be my primary method of hiring, is Indeed, and so that is where most of my people have come from.
And what kind of people do you feel like are applying to your job?
Yeah, so I would say the vast majority of people that apply with us are college students that are looking for gaining more hands-on experience for either vet school or like a professional career with animals. And so they find it just perfect for them because they can work while they are going to school, and we can be flexible with their school schedule. And it's fun, and it's just a little bit of extra money on the side for them. And so that I would say that is majority of the people that apply to work with us.
How do you navigate things like school breaks, right? If it's a student that isn't local, and still maintain your capacity to take care of clients over Christmas and Thanksgiving and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that is definitely a challenge that I have to face with hiring college students. Is they understandably so, they want to have some time with their family during the holidays, and they may want to go back home because um, majority of the students here are not from this area. There are some, but majority are not. So I do let everyone know up front that I am going to, have that expectation that they work with us through the holidays. Now, maybe we schedule them to where they do have a day or two off throughout that holiday, those dates during the holidays, so that they can have that time with family. And I think that hiring and having a team has really helped with that because everyone can kind of rotate and it's fair that way. So with that being said, I haven't had any issues with employees working here with us during the holidays, as long as they do have ample time to see their families. And then if we do have those that apply and just are not available at all during the holidays, it's just very unlikely that we hire them.
Yeah, it is tough, isn't it? Of going, oh man, this person is here. They've got a flexible schedule. They can work the hours that I want to. Oh, they can't be here over Thanksgiving and Christmas. And going,
Yes.
how do I work with that? What kind of conversations do I have, or is that something that I can bring on? Because obviously you don't want to increase your capacity right before Thanksgiving because you add a couple extra staff members and then they all disappear and they can't take on the extra capacity for when you actually really need them during the holidays.
One of the things that has also helped out with that is hiring seasonal employees. So
Okay.
I have had an employee last year for Thanksgiving and Christmas break that will be returning with me this year. That she is actually from Bryan. So her family lives in town, and so she's able to work a lot throughout the holidays, and she wants to. So that has been a great help as well. But I also understand that not everybody wants to hire just seasonal part-time employees that they, won't have throughout the year. But for me, that was what I needed to do when I first started hiring, because I wasn't as strict about the holidays as I am now. Because now I make that very clear and upfront in my hiring processes that is something that we have that expectation from you.
Are you still doing the seasonal hires, or is that something that you don't do as much anymore?
Not so much anymore. It's definitely going to be a thing of the past. My one employee that's coming back this year is the only seasonal hire that I am having back.
What kind of things did you learn from that experience, or why is that something you no longer want to do?
I really think it's important to have that employee retention kind of throughout the year. I have always said to my employees that I'm very flexible with their school schedules as they change from semester to semester. Just, let me know what your schedule is going to be like, and I will work around that. And you're also other commitments, if they have another job or other commitments, I'm always very flexible with them, as long as they are flexible with me and they have the intention of staying on with us, as long as possible, whether that's until graduation or, a year or two. Like we value retention a lot more than maybe at the beginning of when I first started hiring.
What does that retention look like? Because when I think college towns, I think kind of high turnover, a lot of people coming and going, just by the very nature of what a college is meant to do: bring kids in, educate them, and then they leave and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely try to focus on, as I'm hiring, I try to focus on applicants that definitely know they're going to be in town for at least a couple more years. I typically won't move forward with someone that may be graduating that same semester or even the next semester. So I kind of take that into account. I also explained that that this job is very important in the sense that the client's pets will get to know you as well. And, I would prefer not to have such a revolving door, of employees and the turnover and all of that. And so I think that with being so flexible with their schedules and the changes in their lives from semester to semester and summer to summer, that most of my employees have stayed on with me at least 6 months, but usually more like 10 or 11 at the least.
Yeah. And I think that's where, just as an employer, you go, what is my applicant pool expecting? And can I make that work for my business? And is that something I want to do? And the flexibility there sounds like that's one of the key things that you can provide them, of the ability to basically say, whatever availability you have or can give, will work with that. And that means that you're kind of sticky to them, because they know there aren't very many other jobs out there that can do that kind of thing for me, or who are willing to work around my schedule. So maybe it's worth, sticking with these people for the long run.
Right. And I'm very much still in the field myself. So, if there's extra visits and I need to pick up a little extra slack, like I will definitely do that. It's just in our service area, specifically with it being a primarily college town, it's harder to find those that have a set schedule, year to year, or, doesn't really change very often. So that's kind of something that I have just had to learn to adapt to on a semester by semester basis. And then if I do need to fill the gaps, I will hire accordingly. So it just kind of depends there.
A lot of first-time pet owners don't know how to react when their beloved pet is facing a bout of anxiety, noise sensitivity, or depression. However, various studies have shown that animals react very positively when calming music is played for them. As their trusted pet sitter, have your clients check out Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets on YouTube, where they can give their pet the best chance at relaxing while they're away. From peaceful melodies to soothing nature sounds, this YouTube channel is the go-to spot when your client's pet is anxious and you don't know where to turn. Complete with beautiful and vibrant animations, their videos will become your home for the tools needed to keep the pets in a state of peacefulness. Perfect for that anxious pet overnight or just during the day while the client is out to work. The Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets on YouTube will help ease the anxiousness of both the pet and the owner. Be sure to subscribe to Peaceful Pet Music, Call Music for Pets on YouTube, and hit the bell so you never miss a moment of calm.
So with all the staff members that you have coming in and that flexibility that you have, how do you go about ensuring that high quality of work that you expect everybody to have?
Yeah, so I do look to see if they have any previous animal experience, whether that be pet sitting or in a clinic setting or FFA, just anything like that, so that I know, that they really do love animals. That to me is the very first important step. And then also just being very thorough with my training processes and my team communication. We utilize Slack for team communication, and that has been really great for our business so far. I also will host monthly staff meetings in person where we'll all eat together. We'll meet at a restaurant and just catch up that way, and also just making expectations clear in a respectful way with my staff, and also always providing constructive criticism for them because, I want this job to be enjoyable and fun for them and something that they like to do on the side while they're in school and doesn't add additional stress, to them. And so I think that just having processes and also just being an advocate for your staff can really help maintain that quality and just consistency with the team.
And that, man, those clear expectations, I've heard it said before that to be clear is to be kind, right? And loving towards that person. And especially whenever you couple that with the constructive criticism, because it's telling somebody how to improve or that they need to improve is not a bad thing. It's not good, especially whenever we're going, hey, I saw this happen. I saw this photo. I saw this update. Here's what I would suggest we do to kick that up a notch. Or have you tried doing XYZ? Or this is what we need to see moving forward. Because that is clear expectations to them and they know whether they're performing well or not. And that gives people peace of mind to know, oh man, I'm really doing well. Or I'm not. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I need to try something else. And so when you have that kind of ongoing conversation, you're building that relationship with that person, and that's so critical, especially whenever we're trying to have those high standards. We're trying to have that consistency between individuals. If we're not talking to them, none of that's going to take place.
Oh, absolutely. And I completely agree. I mean, I've told all of my employees that the last thing that I want to be in their eyes is someone they feel they can't talk to, and like a scary boss, and someone that they just can't come to about if they make a mistake or something goes wrong. And because I've been in those environments, and so I know how that's like. And I knew that as a manager, I didn't want them to struggle with that. And so I think just being an advocate for them, but also letting them know that, if we do give them constructive criticism, it's never to break them down in any way. It's just to, okay, what happened here? How can we learn from it? How can we prevent the mistake again? And then just tell them something great about what they're doing as well, and letting them know.
I had I held a position formerly where my boss came in and wanted to talk to me about how rapidly I was responding to emails. And I was like, what do you mean? What is weird? And they said, well, I noticed that you don't always spell words correctly. And when you do that, it's not a good reflection on you or what we do here. And so I wanted to come in, and before this got worse, or before you sent one wrong email to the one wrong person, and before it blew up, that you just take a minute to breathe and look at what you're writing, basically is what they said. So just look at the words you're typing, Colin. I mean, and it was very like, oh, right. It's very like what I think is just this trite little simple email that I'm shooting off. Like I'll just bang it out and we'll go. It's actually very important with how people perceive us. And now in our own company, it's like how even more so of taking a few minutes to breathe, spell check my update before I send it to the client, or respond to that email about a sponsorship or whatever. Like those little things matter. And it's our job as the managers, as the coaches, basically to our staff to help go, hey, I want to step in, and before this becomes a problem, I just want to let you know that here's how we can help correct that, so we don't have to worry about that again.
Well, Colin, too bad we didn't have Chat GPT when you were back in that job. You would have been fine.
I would have that's all I would have done all day. I was like, oh, here's an email, write a prompt. Like, it would have been amazing.
The spelling would have been perfect. Like, you wouldn't have had to worry about anything.
No, I know. And that's a big thing too, that I work with our staff is I know as I try and teach and encourage a lot from my own deficiencies of, hey, I rush through things. I type things out really fast and hit send, and then I look for grammar after it's already been sent. Like, that's my superpower, is once the emails or message has been sent, then I look at it and I go, oh, look at all those spelling mistakes anyway, right? Like, so going, hey, I struggle with this too, let me help you with this. And then because we also often struggle, or as when you bring on staff, you go, how do I help people? Like, where do I help them from? Well, we have our own, just pull from your own personal experiences, pull from how you've grown, and identify areas in your staff, because I guarantee you there's a lot of similarities there that you can actually speak to.
Oh, yeah. And anyone can be trained to do this job. I mean, it's as long as you love pets and you love animals, in some capacity. I mean, anyone can be trained. And so, in the early stages of hiring last year, I didn't have such a great process. And honestly, listening to your podcast on hiring has been just a complete godsend for me in that way, of having that structure and training, because that will just very naturally inspire confidence in a team if you are hiring them, or not, sorry, if you are training them in a very thorough, step-by-step way, and then also giving them the reins to, go out on their own and shadow them and see how they do, and then, make criticism when needed. But I mean, just having that constant communication is so important.
Well, and those processes are invaluable. And I love how you touched on the fact that it's not just training people in the skills and stuff necessary, but it's also communicating to them how serious you take it, or how the company takes it, right? Of like, hey, before you come on board, here's 7 hours of online training you're going to watch. And then, oh, by the way, at 2 months, there's a quiz you're going to take. Everybody rejoiced. Like, like it really sets, it's like, no, these are the standards. And it's okay to have high standards as long as you help people meet them through your onboarding, training, encouragement, and coaching. Like, that's really important to have both of those in line with each other.
Yes, I completely agree.
And I know another thing that is really important through this process of when you bring on staff is having your company values, your company morals, these guiding principles. How are you helping your staff members connect with those?
Yeah, so from the very beginning, I let them know that we are professionals and that I'm going to train them as such. And so also, we are huge on our reliability to our clients. Having peace of mind is the one thing that's like my kind of my statement that I make, is that I'm just huge on peace of mind for our clients and just having them be worry-free while they're out of town. And so I think that, letting them know that we will be there no matter what. We'll always have a backup. We will have a highly trained staff that is there to care for their pets, I think really helps those values. And also just being as detailed as possible as we can when it comes to their pets' instructions and what they need, their particular needs. And so also I think that letting the client be heard is very important as well. And so they will, tell us in detail about what they may need, what their pets may need, and just, them feeling that they're being listened to and that we are following those directions correctly, I think also helps with that. All of my employees also have been trained to administer medications. Some of them have been vet techs as well, which helps. And we do care for senior and end of life pets as well. And so I think that all of that, along with our our communication within ourselves on Slack and our staff meetings has really helped kind of our company morals and that value as well.
Because then it stops being just you pounding at the pulpit or pounding the gavel, trying to get people to hear and listen. They start seeing other employees living, acting, talking about those same things. And there's definitely this reinforcement process of, okay, I'm going to make sure I tell everybody, and I'm always going to tell everybody. But when they start seeing other people living and acting and working it out in their day-to-day, during the dog walk, during the pet sit, it's incredibly powerful. And I don't know about you, but like, it's also very satisfying to be like, oh, they got it. Like, that's so encouraging.
Oh, yes, definitely. And then also just the fact that we are insured and bonded and licensed, and all of my staff are as well. And we all do pet care team training or fetch find. I kind of go between the two as well. Is extremely helpful as well. But it's just really the things that set us apart from the rest is what is important to me.
It is, and it's finding those to them and allowing the staff members to really to see that, right? And I know it can be a lot of pressure to go, well, if this is the standards, like, I've got to lead by example, right? I've got to lead by when the staff reach out to me and they say, hey, I found this problem. Should I tell the client? It's like, oh, like, I'm personally embarrassed by this, but like, no, we need to tell them, right? We need to own up to this. It could be very easy to just say, oh, no, don't worry about telling them this time. Don't worry about telling. That's teaching them, okay, well, you said transparency and communication was a big deal, but it's actually not to you. And so going, no, I teach by how I live these and how I act them out in what I do as well.
Yeah. It's definitely very important to be honest and be okay with making mistakes and knowing that you can and that it's going to be okay and you're going to learn from it. And it's something, that, happens and everybody makes mistakes. And so just being honest and truthful and, to the best of your ability is just, what is required in this kind of industry.
Have you had to go to your staff or to your team and apologize for an error on your own part and bring that to them?
Oh, yeah. So I do consistently remind them that I'm also human and I make mistakes, even as the business owner. There was actually a recent situation where we were doing 5 visits a day for a client that was recently diagnosed with kidney failure. And so he was on a 5-meal-a-day regimen that had medications mixed in. And so it was very important to give him those medications every 2 to 3 hours. And then there was a late night visit scheduled from 9 to 10 p.m. And we actually normally don't schedule visits that late at night just for safety and things like that. And so what had happened was I had scheduled that visit to myself, the later night visit, and I had no other visits throughout the day other than that one. And unfortunately, I had just forgotten about it. And so the client had messaged us about 1 or 2 in the morning, letting us know like she didn't see anybody come by. Is everything okay? And so thankfully, I was able to see that and head over there and take care of them early in the morning. But I did have to come to my staff and let them know because they had seen the message on Time to Pet that had happened. And I told them, everything's fine with Flynn. He's all good. Like it's okay that he didn't get that medication. It was more of a supplement at that point of the day. So it was all good. But I had to let them know that I had made a mistake and I still do. And it's okay that you do as well, as long as you come to me about it and you're honest and we work through it together and just learn from it. Because now I have definitely put systems in place where that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it's the learn from it, right? And it's the bringing that stuff to them of if we really want an open door policy, that means it's both ways. It's I don't just sit here and hide my mistakes and my errors or my, when we sit down and do scheduling and or route planning and we just totally biff it on drive times and and it's like, oh gosh, like yeah, that was our bad. Like we messed up. We were looking at the wrong thing. I'm really sorry about that. We'll get that corrected. Like whatever it is, we don't have to be perfect and all knowing, right? And that's actually really dangerous for us.
And for me, it was just something simple as it being out of my normal routine and something that we weren't used to doing. We weren't used to doing those later night visits. And, due to his condition, I had told the client, we will do that going forward, having that later night visit. And so, thankfully they've been a client for a long time and everything was just fine. And she completely understood. And the dog was fine, but it's very important to have that transparency with the team, and just letting them know that you're one of them. I mean, you're a manager, you're their boss. Yes. And you have to have that role. But you're also one of them. And just, I feel that naturally just helps them feel that they can come to you and talk to you and, without being afraid and without holding back.
I know you mentioned you listed out some of the values and morals that your company has. How did you find those, come about those, and what advice would you give to people who maybe don't have those outlined for themselves?
Well, I definitely think first and foremost, it's important to put yourself in the shoes of a client and what you would be looking for in a professional pet business. And so I think that by doing that, you can really start to, think about what you want your company's morals and values to be, and upholding those and those standards. Because, if you do want to, advertise yourself with all these credentials, all these certifications, all these awards, if you want to get to that point, you really have to start with that foundation and just how you advertise yourself and how you just look to a prospective client that could be interested in your services. And so, and then just sticking to them by just, consistently reminding yourself, if you're solo, consistently reminding your team, what your values are and what the expectations are and the standards that you bring to the table and what clients have come to know you for, in your value, I think is really important in sticking to those.
Natalie, I really want to thank you for your time today. I know you've got a lot going on, so it just means a lot for you to carve out this time to talk with us and share your story and encourage us to stay customer focused and encourage us to work with that applicant pool, to stay flexible and to meet the needs, and so that we can be serving our community to the best that we can with our community to the best that we can. I know that there's a lot going on, that you do a lot of cool stuff and you're always posting really fun photos and things like that. So how can people best get connected and follow along with all of your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Colin, for having me on the podcast. I've been listening since the beginning. So it was really cool to finally come on myself and, tell you all a little bit more about us and our service area and what we do. So for those that want to get in touch, we do have Facebook and Instagram under Aggieland Pet Sitting, or they can also send me a message to my personal Facebook page, which is just Natalie Spedden. I'm in a bunch of the pet sitting Facebook groups. You could probably find me on there. I'm also in Sitter Confessionals. People can also email me at aggielandpetsitting@gmail.com with any questions, whether they are or are not in a college town kind of service area. They can definitely reach out to me with any questions just relating to hiring or just employee morale, company morale. I really love talking about that, and just employee retention. So I know when I got started, I reached out to a lot of people and listened to a lot of resources, and everyone was so helpful for me, and I just want to do that for others as well.
Well, wonderful. Yeah, I'll have all those links in the show notes and on the website so people can get connected. And Natalie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really, seriously, it's been great following along with everything that you've been doing as you grow and continue to push what's possible and make it more known in Bryan College Station. So it's fantastic.
Thank you so much, Colin, for having me.
At the end of the day, people expect our reliability. Peace of mind is central to all that we do as a company. So given the unique challenges that you're facing as your business, how are you going to keep the reliability and the peace of mind central? Keep that first and foremost in everything that you do. Challenges will come and go. They'll change from year to year, but people will continue to expect our reliability, and their peace of mind must be central to everything. When we keep that in focus, it helps shape how we tackle the problems and how we continue to push forward. We want to thank today's sponsors, Time to Pet, and the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel. Make sure and check those links out in the show notes. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.